Happy Solstice 2013. This is Craig Lane with Health Alchemy, HealthAlkemy. One thing's been simmering the last few days for a video blog. This will be video blog week 26, although I'm a little bit ahead right now. So we'll be doing some bonus ones as insights come up, sort of exploding with insights these days. And today's video blog, week 26, which will complete half the year. So on this wonderful day of the brightest light is something that's been pondering around in me is, as the title of it states, is relationships, relativities, and reality. So I was pondering in a book recently about plants and that all of life is relative. So we've been taught this linear way. January, February, March, April, May, the seasons go, the time goes on in a linear stream, and as is with mathematics, 1 + 1 = 2. Well, as this book pointed out, and then I made this insight about my studies of mathematics and how there was a man on Maui I saw many years ago giving a lecture about, he proved the existence of God in a mathematical formula. And it took him about 2 hours, and for those of us with mathematical and quantum physics-based minds, we were able to sort of follow. And I sort of got it, and I had this aha moment that, wow, any little thing usually mirrors the whole. And you look at fractals and things, and you start to wonder, like, or holograms, and how the whole is contained in the parts. And so, in nature, my point to start off with here is that 1 + 1 does not equal 2 in nature. In mathematics, it does. And by the way, if you see me picking stuff up, it's usually a cup of tea. I love drinking tea and pondering, taking all my herbal supplements to wake up my consciousness, and that could be a whole video blog in and of itself. But one of the things that I find really valuable is just being able to converse. And even though I'm conversing with the camera, I know there are many of you that enjoy listening to this, and I really enjoy talking to you. I wish I could be in a room with each and every one of you, and perhaps at some point I will be able to. So 1 + 1 does not equal 2, and you're probably thinking to yourself, what the hell is he saying? So let's look at a plant. So you have this plant, and a male and a female come together. It's pollinated, and you have a seed. But does a seed contain how many seeds? So you have 1 and 1, but you might have in a seed pod, for example, I use the plant ashwagandha that has a little berry that has about anywhere from 10 to 100 little seeds in it. So you think, wow, you've got this seed that falls to the ground, produces a plant, but that plant might produce another 10,000 to 1 million seeds, like the plant mullein, Mullein. Mullein, I mean, it's just astounds me when I pull or shake that tree once it's done flowering, and the amount of seeds, the sheer volume, it's got to be in the millions. So in nature, 1 + 1 does not necessarily equal 2. Take the human. 1 + 1 = 1. In some cases, it equals twins or triplets or quintuplets or whatever. And so 1 + 1 could equal 1, could equal 2, could equal 3, could equal 4. And you have a man and a woman coming together and producing an offspring. And that offspring may be greater than the two as individuals, or even the sum of the two. And that's where, in the Gospels, I really don't know what Jesus said, so I'm going off of what people say he said. So I don't want to offend anybody here, but I am sort of a pragmatist in some ways of just, okay, well, we hear these words, we read these words, but I wasn't standing there, so I don't know. And that's what I always base things on. If I wasn't standing there listening to someone, then I'm not going to say this is what he said. I'm going to say this is what someone else said he said. So there's this illusion in the gospel of you can be greater than me, basically. I don't remember at this moment the exact poetic words, and that's what I hope for my students or people that come to work with me, is that they end up greater than me, because I think that's what we're doing. So in nature, we have a lot of these analogies, and then in time, we also see Like I was thinking this morning when I woke up at 5 o'clock just to experience the sunrise on the day um, of the solstice when the light is the strongest, and apparently on West Coast time here in the United States it was about 5 a.m. according to my girlfriend. So we're getting up, and I imagine myself, wow, it's sunrise, but it's only sunrise at my point, at my particular latitude. If I move 1,000 miles to the east or west, it's going to be a different time. And so even time is relative. And that's why we have these time zones and this artificial day. You cross the timeline and you're a day behind or a day ahead. And that's according to someone's plan, someone's preference, someone's creation. But if we didn't have those creations, then in Fiji, their sunrise would be different than mine, and their time at any given point of the day is going to be much different than mine. So if I view them on live camera, as many of you, if you were watching me live, or maybe you will be today, at some point later, it's 12:30 p.m. my time. But if you're on the East Coast, it's 3:30 your time. If you're in Hawaii, with 3 hours behind, you're about 9:30. So time in and of itself is relative. So I think the Mayan calendar and the Mayans were pointing to something here that, their time base is like wheels within wheels. You've got a 13-day wheel, and then there's the moon cycle wheel, the 28-day wheel, and you've got their long cycles of thousands of years, and I think they call it a Baktun. So these cycles in life, they're not linear. They repeat. Life is a circle. Don Juan said it to Carlos Castaneda. All of life's a circle. The only path worth traversing is a path with heart. So I believe when we die, we see that. And you look at these near-death experiences, Eben Alexander and the work of many, many men, including Raymond Moody, and you see these commonalities of things that happen to people when they die. And we have all these things that, burn in hell, ascend to the light. But I believe to a certain degree, on some level, we're looking on some level to fully be here in this moment, in this place, to finally arrive. And physicality is the place that we can do that. So where I'm going with this is that reality, it only exists in one place, and that's here. That's right there. Here, you watching this at your particular frame of reference. And right here, I'm pointing at my head. Nothing exists but that. And I heard my teacher say once that somebody asked him what were the important things to him, what was most important, and he said, sitting here with you at this moment is the most important thing in my life. When I walk out that door, that's the most important thing in my life. When I drive my car home, that's the most important thing in my life. And there's a certain pointer he's pointing at, really being here. So there's a word in Spanish, ahora, which means now, and there's ahorita, which is right now. And I believe that's in English, that's the way we say it. We will say, oh, now, but then we might say, right now, let's get this done right now. And so this relativity is really the true essence of, in my opinion, relativity is one of the true essences of reality. And sure, linear thinking and labeling and putting things in boxes also has a place, because this little toolbox up here loves to do that. But then we drop down a bit lower, down into our heart centers and into our feeling centers in our gut, and we begin to see these other parts that are not working in time. We have one part of our brain that works, right brain works more in the creative, unified wholes of things, and the left brain's working on all the science and 1+1s and all that. And they both have a place, and that's why we look at what's the balance between the two sides, left and right, top and bottom. And that's the beauty of the yin yang duality of Chinese medicine and the systems of Ayurveda and most of the Native American and holistic healing traditions, is they are looking at that. And why do you think that our physicians today are not being taught this? Because there is an agenda at the top. The agenda at the top is to keep us out of seeing the both and. Life is not either or. It never was and never will be. But our minds make things into either or when we're dominated by part of our brain, and the other part we're taught not to use. That's why education is the way it is in this country. You get people memorizing data and sitting in a classroom in an uncomfortable setting, and a lot of kids don't really want to do that. They want to play or do creative things, or we're all different. So I think that for the purposes of today, it was just basically a short statement and get people thinking, as it makes me think about um, these relativities and relationships. I wrote on my blogger site, which I'll give a link to in the description here. I just recently wrote a blog about relationships and relativities and push and pull and tug and all that. And this may help some of you also further understand the deeper things that are lying just beneath the veneer of what I call the social mask. If you look underneath mine, as with all of you, I'll give my confession before I sign off here, is that there is shame here. There is lack of worthiness here. There is, I don't work in the past, so I don't work much with doubt. I don't work much with regret. But what I work with a lot is anxiety. It's future based stuff, what might happen in the future. And so you'll see me often, someone new will come in my practice, and then there's a sense of terror of this part of me that has to have the answers. And then after 20 years in the business and in this practice, you start to see like, oh, I can just rest in the question mark, because that's the canvas upon which the painting is painted, is the blank slate. I don't know. And then we begin to paint a picture. And as Ted Kupchak in The Web That Has No Weaver for Chinese Medicine states, we begin to weave a web and begin to see a picture the more we look and the more we ask and the more we do detective work. So in nature, 1 plus 1 does not equal 2 necessarily. It might. And so the point of here today is that open it up a bit. Watch a plant. Watch yourselves. Watch things a bit more deeply. And I know I will. And boy, happy solstice. This is just a tremendous day of light. And remember, where there is light, there can be no shadow. Keep your shadow in front of you and love it and let it love you and let it be seen. Craig Lane with Health Alchemy signing off. Video blog week 26.